All I want you to do is to sit here and listen to me for just a minute, or for however long I decide to make this video. In this video, I will be talking about the PlayStation Blackout, and what it is and why it's stupid. And furthermore, to elaborate, I will be also talking about the digital-only future, and I was going to say AI, but I'm going to leave that out of this video. I'm basically doing my own version of a Moist Critical video. I am making this video as well as a way of saying that we are all very stupid. Whether we want to believe it or not, we can suck each other's dicks however much we want in this situation. Whatever. But in the end, we, the consumer, are very stupid. So let's get right into this. I encourage you to grab something to drink or eat. Because before I start this, I'm going to grab coffee. So give me a minute. Now, let me be the first to break the ice in this whole issue, in this whole stance. We, the consumer, it is genuinely and generally, it is our fault. It is not the company's fault, it is our fault. If we genuinely did not want something, we would not buy it. The unfortunate thing is that there are a lot of people who prefer, or mostly everybody, I shouldn't say a lot of people, it is mostly everyone who prefers convenience over anything else. If it is convenient to do something, you're likely are going to do that. And that is what the digital-only field comes into play. The digital-only is much easier to do because you can just buy it at home. You can just get it from where you're sitting. You can literally go from playing one game and buying a different game the next second after that. Like, it's not hard. It's made to be easy. It's made to be convenient, but it's also made to be controlling. For everybody who buys physical media, they're doing themselves justice by keeping the game on something, and they like that game a lot, so they do that. Now, I will say that not every game is on disc. There have been a lot of discontinued games that do not work anymore. One of my favorites, for example, that does not exist anywhere on anything. The only way you can get it is by pirating it, is called Lord of the Rings Conquest. That is an Xbox 360 game and was not very popular. You can look it up. Now, for those of you who have no idea what in the fuck the PlayStation Blackout is, it is an event occurring from August 23rd to August 30th. It is basically a rally, or basically like it's basically a strike. And a lot of you already hopefully see the issue with this. Strikes don't have ends to them. They just end when their demands are met. I misworded that, but you get the idea. The idea behind the blackout is to make it to where PlayStation and or Sony will stop going digital only and will still include discs. And for those of you who are still very not caught up in the rat race, Sony is wanting to go digital only, which would also make a monopoly in some fashion. And Rockstar has been helping them quite a bit, because GTA 6 is a digital-only game, and they have... Actually, I shouldn't include this, because I don't know the script. I do not know the script. I was going to say, they have said that a disc version is going to be coming out at some point, but not soon. But I don't know how true that is, so take that with a grain of salt. But we want to make an impact of some kind. We all do. And from what it looks like, none of us want a disc, or I'm sorry, a digital-only future. None of us want that. The issue is that a lot of us don't have the ability to care about that, to be honest. Because if something's convenient for you, you're gonna do it that way. Now, I'm gonna give an example. This is how attached to simplicity people are. So my grandmother, right? She has an iPad. She uses her iPad for basically everything, for her cooking and basically everything. She has a bunch of recipes on it. A couple of days ago, she got completely locked out of her email because she forgot her password, and the person my uncle, who doesn't live with us or anywhere near, well, near us enough, but we didn't want to contact him to get the password or whatnot, to get the verification email to reset the password because she never remembers her passwords. So instead, she basically called customer support to get this all figured out. But before that, she had lost all of her recipes and everything. She did not write any of this down, and most people would write this down, but she didn't want to write it down if she didn't like it, or if it didn't work. Now, I looked at her and I said, technology is not a very good thing to rely on. And she had said it's too much work to write it down. I was like, you prefer the convenience of the iPad? She's like, yeah, I do. Like, that is why we're getting nowhere. But you see the point. She would prefer to just have it on the iPad versus writing it down, which takes like 2 seconds. So with that being said, if we really wanted to actually make PlayStation change their mind, your only option or your best option, there are other options, but the best option that I can see from that would be the most like, it would work, would be to not buy anything digital, period. Buying nothing, and I mean nothing digital. Everything physical. Now, there are some games right now that are not in digital. I mean, that are not on disc. Like Palworld, for example, is not on disc from what I'm aware of. And to be honest, that is just a sacrifice you're gonna have to make. The other issue is that you're also, it's one person fighting against around 8 billion people. So unless majority of people that play on PlayStation agree with your logic and do what you're doing, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. Rallying people to do something this big, because this is a pretty big ask, unfortunately, is something that is either impossible or that we are not going to have happen. Because I'm not sure if you've realized, but it is very hard to get anybody to agree on one single thing. The internet, or the majority of people, is basically like women. Sorry, it's a good comparison, though. Nobody can agree on anything. Or in other words, you ask your wife to go and pick something to eat, and she just doesn't know, but she doesn't like anything you tell her. A lot of people have that issue. I'm glad I don't. But either way, you can see the dilemma. So unless you're willing to find a way to make it to where people can own, because the entire point of us not wanting to go digital is to own stuff. We want to be able to own what we have and have a physical version of it in some form. But the future is digital only. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to put a stop to it or not, it is digital only. Because we cannot physically rally enough people to do anything about it. Because none of us can agree on one thing. So the entire population is ruining one thing that a lot of gamers like very quickly. And yes, Sony, Rockstar, whatever the fuck, they're all greedy. Yes, they are greedy. But they can't be greedy if they don't have any money. Does that make sense? And I'm actually going to reference the Lorax real quickly. But if you've ever watched Game Theory, you'll know that he made a video on the Lorax. Or Film Theory, more like. But either way, Game Theory made a video on the movie called The Lorax, the animated film. And in that film, there is a villain named O'Hare. O'Hare, I don't know. But he's presumed to be the villain. And Game Theory broke the whole thing down. I'm going to make it really simple. He basically just said, O'Hare did nothing wrong. And I agree. He didn't really do anything wrong. He was just trying to protect his business. Because even in the movie, I don't remember how far it is in, but it's pretty early on from what I'm aware of. O'Hare actively gets met with two businessmen. And they propose to him saying, hey, let's sell bottled air. And O'Hare actively looks at them and goes, do you really think people are going to buy this junk? Keep in mind that the air in that bottle is no different than the air that me and you are currently breathing or anybody in that world that was currently breathing. There is absolutely no difference except for it's bottled. And we, the consumer, still bought it. We still bought it because we wanted to. O'Hare and PlayStation are not making you do anything. They are not making anybody do anything. They are simply selling us what we are continuing to buy. If we didn't buy their consoles, and if we didn't buy the digital games, we wouldn't have the issue that we are currently having. And same the reason as to why the Blackout doesn't do anything. Because if you're only protesting for a certain amount of time, for a set amount of time, it does nothing. Nothing at all. And let's just say, perhaps it does actually make a move on PlayStation. Perhaps they do actually make a change. That might be good. It wouldn't be much, but honestly, with how people's brains are today, and with how people think that this is gonna work, it wouldn't be a far-fetched to think that it might actually change something, to be honest. And same thing with AI. Like, I'll put this in here, I guess. Same thing with AI. A lot of us use it. A lot of us use AI for really stupid stuff. It gets used. There is a future with AI. Certain things using AI will fall, yes, but not AI as a full thing will fall. It's not going to happen. Because we do use it to a certain capacity. And AI is getting good enough where it is very, and I mean very hard to tell if anything is actually real. it has gotten to the point where we actually need an AI to tell us if something is AI generated, which is fucking crazy. Because guess what? We're still using AI for it. Because we ourselves cannot tell. And that's not our fault. But it also kind of is our fault because we're still paying to use AI. Which, for a lot of you, is like, well, I don't like it. You're still paying for it. If it's not you paying for it, the person next to you in line is paying for it. And if they aren't, then it's the next. It's so on and so forth. Someone in some capacity that isn't you, that is a user or is a consumer of some kind, is using it. Even if you live out in the suburbs where there is nothing, and I mean not even a Wi-Fi connection, and you've heard of AI, and you don't like it, there are still a grand total of people that are still using it when you aren't. In other words, you're left behind, Grandpa. That is basically the gist of what it is. And unless a lot of us, or all of us, when I say a lot of us, I mean like more than half of the population can come through and actually say no. And I don't mean just saying no. I mean, stop paying for it, stop doing these stupid things, cancel your subscriptions that have anything to do with AI or the Sony stuff. Going through and doing that, that'll actually make a change. That itself will make a change. Because honestly, finding a way to make it to where you can still own the game digitally would be cool, but it's not going to go that way, unfortunately. So as you can see from this whole rant, you yourself, it's not them making you yourself will own nothing and be happy about it because you are the one paying for it. No one said that you had to buy it. No one is saying that you have to do any of these things. If you want to play our games, that is illegal, but you're choosing to do it. No one's making you do anything. No one is. You are the one buying it. They are the one selling it. If it wasn't selling, they wouldn't be doing it. That is the entire thing. They're not looking at you asking for your verbal response. They're looking for an actual, like, consequence of something happening. The consequence of them losing money is what tells them, oh, that's bad. Let's not do that. And it has to happen in such a way to where it's happening on that thing consistently, no matter what they do. No matter how they make that product, no matter how they do it, they lose money in it. That way, it'll tell them, hey, let's not do that. There they go. That is all that needs to happen, realistically. But that concludes my rant for the Sony Blackout, some of AI, and just the stupidity behind all of this. Because you and me both know that this is that is how that goes. Wow, this is crazy. But I hope you guys took something from this. I hope that everybody understands why this is genuinely stupid and why it is genuinely our fault. Like, I'm not just putting you guys at fault. I am also at fault for this. I bought in digital games. We all have. You've probably bought in digital movies. For a grand example, these are all digital movies. Just saying, we're all human and we prefer things in a certain way. Once we get used to that way of life, we have a hard time going back. But arguing and yelling at the company for what they're doing isn't going to do anything. Yelling at them for doing that, for doing what we basically told them to do, isn't going to help nobody. But I hope you guys understood things. I'll see you guys next video. Peace out, guys.